Welcome to the Business Spotlight Podcast. My name is David Beeson. I am your host for today's conversation, and my guest today is Rodney Malone, the CEO of Heart Senior Care. We are going to be talking about his business journey to business ownership, challenges, best practices, and share what it's really like to build and operate a business. Rodney, welcome to the show, and thank you for being here today. I would love for you to give us a little bit of your background of who you are and tell us a little bit about your business as well.
Absolutely. And thank you for having me here today, David. I'm excited. I'm happy to be here. Um, so, a little bit about my background. I'm from Ohio. I currently live in Scottsdale, Arizona. I went to the University of Cincinnati, uh, college in Cincinnati, Ohio, studied business. When I graduated, my first job, I was an area manager for a grocery chain. Um, and then at that time, I was, kind of learning the business world, because I come from a family of, mhm. I come from a family of 10 of my grandmother's kids because I was raised by my grandmother and then I made 11, right? And we lived in a 3-bedroom house. So being a business owner isn't really one of those things I thought was in my destiny, but I'm happy it is. So then when I worked for the grocery chain, uh, I was married at the time. I was married for 30 years. My wife passed away about 3 years ago,
Oh,
but
I'm so sorry
she
to hear
had
that.
heard on the street that her company was getting sold. And at that point, the discussion in my house was, hey, if this is going to happen to me, do we both want to be in corporate America? So at that time, she bought a cleaning company, which she was going to run. And as things started churning and the wheels started moving, her company wanted her to stay there. So then that became my responsibility. And it became big enough to where I ended up leaving my job and running that cleaning company. It got to be so big that my last year there, I was a speaker for the tri state, being Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio. I
Oh, wow.
gave the keynote speech for all the franchisees at the corporate meeting. Um, then I decided to we decided to move to Arizona because it's beautiful and sunny pretty much 345 days of the year, except for today. Um, and then we moved out here and I bought another cleaning company, but there was commercial cleaning. Moved out here, I bought construction cleaning. And to that company, we added commercial cleaning, we added landscaping, and we grew that company up pretty good. We were doing pretty well. And then at that time, my wife was consulting, decided she didn't want to consult anymore. I told her, hey, go look, go see what's out there. She found this business. And it's kind of funny because she called me one morning. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to a construction meeting. And she goes, I have a great idea. Let's run this company together. And I'm thinking in my mind, husband, wife, run a company together. No, we'll talk about it. But then as we talked about it, I we agreed to do it. We sold the construction cleaning company. We started doing this together, and it's just been a labor of love ever since. So we've owned it now, and she passed away 3 years ago, but I've owned it now 11 years, and I love what I do.
Awesome. So what exactly is the business you currently own?
Okay, it's called Golden Heart Senior Care. And what we do is called home care, not to be confused with home health. Okay, home health is a medical deal. Okay, we do non medical stuff. So we assist seniors with activities of daily living. So
Mm,
that could be anything from, and it's interesting because I didn't realize this was a real business. I didn't realize it until, my wife's parents started getting up there in years and they needed help. So we started looking into it. They were in Ohio still, and we were out here, but we would send somebody over to help them. they wouldn't open the door. They would kick them out of the house. And so then we would go to Ohio, get it reset up. And then we realized that this is a real business. As people get into their later years, they become weaker, they develop illnesses, they develop progressive diseases. And that's sort of how we got into this business. And so when you talk about what we do, we will help people do everything from, and if you're not familiar with this business, it's going to sound strange, but we help people get out of bed. We help them get from their bed to a wheelchair or a walker. We help them get to the bathroom. We help them go toileting. We help them get cleaned up. We help them shower. We help them shave. We help them get out to their favorite spot in the kitchen so we can prepare breakfast for them. We'll help them eat breakfast. We'll clean up the kitchen. We'll clean up the bathroom. We'll straighten up the bedroom. We then move them to their favorite spot to watch television in the house because most of the people that we work with are homebound.
Hmm.
So they can't leave the house. So if we're there, we do med reminders, remind them to take their medication. We do house cleaning, we do laundry, we do anything that helps a senior remain safely in their home.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's also really good for like, you know, older people like that whenever like, their kids maybe aren't around as much because they're, dealing with their own lives. It's also nice just to have someone around just to talk to.
And we call that companionship, and we do a ton of companionship. And but we work other things into it. A lot of people, nobody really wants to pay somebody to sit there and talk to them all day, but we work companionship into our system. And the true meaning, we have one lady every 2 weeks. We pick her up, we take her to the hairdresser, we take her to lunch, we take her home. That's all we do for her every 2 weeks. Her hair looks great. you know. But then there are people that are bedbound. We've got a guy right now. He's in a 6,000 square foot house, and we're the only people that he sees. We have caregivers go there to help him do everything because he can't get out of bed. So it's not about getting him into the shower. It's about bringing the shower to him in the bed. It's not about getting him out to the kitchen to eat. It's about preparing food and getting it to him in the bed. So when somebody's bedbound, the ask is a little bigger. The requirements are a little more in depth.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's kind of setting the stage for the audience about the business itself. Generally speaking, what does your current ownership structure look like? I know you said that you and your wife were co-owners at one point, and that you all bought the company, but are there outside investors for the company, or is it just you now?
Well, I've been self-employed for 30 years, and and I've been successful at never having an outside investor. Okay, so it's I'm 100% owner, and then we've got a care coordinator who works in the office who helps us with care plans, assessments, home visits, that kind of thing. And then we have a scheduler. We have two schedulers, one that works during the day and that one that works in the evenings and weekends because you never know when a senior is going to have an emergency, and emergencies don't wait. They need somebody now. So we have a 24-hour live answer line. Then I have an office manager who helps manage the office. And that's a whole slew of things from hiring people, coaching people, helping to exaggerate the culture in the office to the outside world. And then we've got about 80 caregivers out in the streets that go out and help seniors every day.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. So
Yeah.
when you look at your role in the business, how many hours do you spend working in your business? So like the job itself, and how many do you spend working on the business? So strategy, planning, et cetera.
Well, it's interesting. When there were two of us, I spent a fair amount of time working in the business. I helped to hire the people, fire people, coach people, reprimand people, document issues when they happen. But now that it's just me as an owner, I spend I would say 60% of my time working on the business and 40% of my time working in the business. And my work in the business is really coaching, assigning duties, helping people to get where they need to be, and helping people to do the things we need them to do in order to help the people that we help.
Gotcha. Awesome. Yeah. So this is kind of a fun question I always like to ask business owners. If I were to give you an extra 10 hours a week, how would you invest those hours? Would that be in the business or would that be more personal life, family time?
Well, when you, I've been self-employed for 30 years, so work is more, it's who I am, it's not what I do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if I had an extra 10 hours a week, I would divide it up. I would get in an extra round of golf, and I would spend more time out selling the business, because we spend a lot of time out marketing and selling. And I have a sales rep also. Um, so we spend a lot of time out marketing and selling the business. So I'd spend half the time doing that, and I would definitely try and get in another round of golf because, you know, as a I think this holds true for everybody in every situation. You have to be happy and content before you can make somebody else happy and content. So you have to do little things to put a smile on your own face, and you have to celebrate the small victories.
Yeah.
So if I had an extra 10 hours, I'd spend five more selling and five on the course.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. I've played golf my whole life. I was on the golf team for my high school. We have a course here in my neighborhood that I go play. I try to play once a week, but
Now you're bragging. See?
I'm not as good as I used to be. Don't have as much time to practice as I would wish.
Yeah, because that's a sport where you need to play a lot to be good at. But I have to tell you, you know, earlier you and I were talking, and I explained to you I live on the golf course, and I live at hole number 13. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I have been known to go out there and play that par three. Hole 13 where I live is a par three. And I've been known to go out there and play that nine times. And I feel like I played nine holes without leaving my house. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's super cool. So as you look back on your journey so far, what has been the most memorable roadblock or hurdle you were challenged with in the business that you were forced to overcome?
Um, oh, there's been so many. Um, I would say for me, the biggest roadblock and hurdle has been continuing in this business after my wife passed, because again, we bought this business for her. It was her business. And as I stepped in and started helping, I grew an appreciation and admiration and love for this business. I mean, there is nothing like helping somebody who needs help. And I'll explain that a little bit. I remember right when we were buying this business and I was selling my other business. I had a meeting in construction at like 5:30 in the morning, which is crazy early. But now my body just can't sleep beyond that because I did that for 11 years. Um, and in that meeting, it's a construction meeting, and construction guys yell at each other. And I think they yell because they're around tools that make noise. And they curse at each other a lot, which, come on, let's be respectful of each other. So I had that meeting during the day. Guys yelling, screaming at each other. You got to get this done. This house needs to be ready, and this building over here needs to be ready. You've got to get the slab poured. It's crazy. But then I had a meeting in this business that afternoon, and it's my first client meeting, and we're talking to a lady, and she's telling us how she needs help and how she's stuck to a wheelchair and how she can't stand up to prepare her own meals and how she doesn't remember to take her medication and how she doesn't have the stamina to clean her house. And as we talked, price became an issue, but as we worked out a plan with her, she started to cry. And I just remember thinking, you can't cry in business. But what I do, yeah, it's business, But it's not business because you're working with people in their personal lives, in their personal homes, in their personal space. So seeing that woman cry my first time, it was weird for me. It kind of messed up my head for a couple of days, but I love that space. That space is more where I feel comfortable than yelling at people. So yeah, that was a little story that I always like to share.
So, what makes your business unique? How do you communicate how your business stands out against the competition?
Well, a lot of my competitors, first of all, we have a 24-hour live answer phone line. A lot of my competitors don't because sometimes that phone rings, sometimes that phone doesn't ring, but I still have to pay that person if that phone doesn't ring. A lot of business owners doesn't don't want to pay a person to sleep on the clock, but we do. That's one of the things that makes us different. We are accessible via you. Every client will get a live answer line, they'll get my line, and they'll get my scheduler's line. So we're always, uh, how do you say it, they can always get a hold of us. We're always accessible to our clients one way or another. And then in Arizona, it's a non-regulated state. So I don't have to do background checks. I don't have to hire people with training. I don't have to, there's a lot of things I don't have to do. And one of the things that makes us different is that we hire primarily CNAs, who are certified nursing assistants. We hire
Mm,
primarily LNAs, which are licensed nursing assistants, and we hire what's called an Arizona certified caregiver. And whereas that cost us a little extra money, it's worth the peace of mind for me to know that when my caregivers with a client, that client's in a very good hands. I don't have to do background checks. We do a national criminal background check, whereas a lot of the local guys may do a background check, but it's a local background check. If somebody commits a crime in Tennessee, with a senior, I want to know about it here. If they commit any crime in Tennessee, Alabama, Texas, where you are, I want to know about it so that I don't put them with a vulnerable senior. You know, seniors are vulnerable. So we have to protect them. So we put every employee through a national criminal background check. We check their record with APS, which here in Arizona is Adult Protective Services. We check their record on the sex offenders list because if they're on there, I don't want them working for me. And we check their driving record. If they've had excessive speeding or a DUI, we don't hire them because our caregivers take clients to the store. We take them to get their hair done, like the lady I told you earlier, or we take them to doctor's appointments. So, you know, we want to make sure that when we send somebody out, it's somebody that I would send to my mother's house. You know, I trust that person. So
yeah.
those are some of the things that make it stand out and separate us from the crowd.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Um, so, what is one thing you wish people knew more about your business?
How much we care because we do care. We right now we're running about 55,000 hours without a fall on our clock, right?
Oh, wow.
Um, so I don't know if people realize this, and I am real careful when I explain this to a family. But the number one killer of seniors by far is falls. By far is falls. And it's not that they fall down, hit the ground, and die. It's that when they fall, when you're a senior, your bones are brittle. So they break big bones. They break femurs, ribs, tailbones. You know, they really hurt something inside and it never really heals properly. So they end up getting infections, they end up getting flus, they end up having internal issues. So I wish people understood that we take the fall part of our work very, very seriously. And running up on 55,000 hours without a fall makes me very happy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm always curious what successful business owners are doing. What percentage of your monthly sales typically is invested back into your marketing budget?
Ooh, I would say about 5%.
Gotcha.
About 5% would go to marketing.
Gotcha. Yeah, I have a background in digital marketing. I went to school for film and TV production and got a minor in marketing, so I kind of just blend the two together now. So that's I know a lot whenever it comes to like the marketing side and the digital marketing. So I'm curious what kind of different strategies y'all are using.
Okay, so we do some with pay per leads. Okay, there's a couple companies out there that, and the interesting thing is that they're all owned by one company. There's like
Yeah.
six different companies, but we do some with pay per leads. We do a lot of activities at senior facilities, assisted living, independent living, and memory care. Um, and so that's really the main way that we market our business. And our salesperson is out talking to anybody who will listen to her about home care. In fact, she works a lot of health fairs. Uh, so, for example, the Jewish Community Center here in our town just had a huge health fair. They get maybe 250 seniors come by. There's maybe 55, 60 different companies that display what they do and talk to seniors about what they do. And there's a cost associated with that because you want to give the seniors something that they can take home so that if they have a need, they remember you.
Yeah.
So we do little squeeze balls because doctors will prescribe squeeze balls for them for exercise. So we do squeeze balls, we do back scratches, we do brochures, we do we've got a little packet of tissues that have our name on it. It's resealable, fits inside a pocket or a purse. You know, we do lots of little things like that to help the senior. We give them something they can use that has our information on it, so that if they ever need us, we're right there in their pocket.
Awesome. Yeah. What kind of approach do you have to tracking your leads? Do you have a CRM that you prefer?
We do. We have a CRM. Well, and we also have a company that does our social media and SEO. Um, so I'm sorry. What was your question? I saw a link there and I kind of lost it.
Oh, you're all good. I was just asking what approach you have to tracking your leads and what CRM you guys prefer using.
So the CRM that we use is through the company that does our social marketing. They're called Approved Senior Network. Um, so we rely on that pretty heavily. There's also one of the paper lead companies that we buy. They have a CRM incorporated into their system. We don't use that as much, but we dabble into it a little bit. And the corporate for I own a franchise. And so they give you software, and that software has a CRM in it also. But we
Gotcha.
use primarily the Approved Senior Network CRM.
Awesome. So I know that you said that you had a pretty big team. I was just curious, how many team members do you currently have?
If you add the office and the field, I'm going to say about 84.
84. Awesome. So how would
We've
you describe? Oh, sorry.
We've been larger. Living in Arizona, we have what we eloquently call snowbirds, and they leave in the summer, and they're going to start coming back next month, and then we'll start hiring more and more people.
Gotcha. Awesome. So, how would you describe your leadership style in business? Has it changed over the years?
Um, I'm going to say yes, it has changed. Um, in part because the businesses I've been involved in are different. Um, it's definitely gotten softer. Uh, when I was
Especially coming from construction, yeah, it definitely gets a little
you
softer.
have to, you have to soften up. I so my leadership style is I like to compliment a lot. I like to reward people a lot. In fact, our software is set up so that when you clock in on time, you get what we call bonus reward points. And bonus reward points are points you kind of grow and develop, and you change that in. You can trade it in for gift cards. Like
Mm,
today, I had one guy, right? He works a lot of hours with us. He works 12 hours a day, 4 days a week with the same client because we take care of that client 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So he's with that client a lot. So he works a lot of hours. But he traded in some of his points today. He's getting two $25 Walmart cards, a $50 Target card, and some $25 Starbucks card. So
nice.
rewarding people lets them know that you value their efforts. Ooh, did you hear that thunder?
Yeah, I did hear that.
We don't get that often. It kind of scared me. So I think it's important to let the people who help you do what you do. It's important to appreciate them. It's important to let them know that you can't do what you do without them because there's no way I could go out and cover for 70 clients every day. There's just no way. Uh,
Yeah.
so we are very appreciative in my office. Conversely, you know, the client base that we have really, really rely on us. So when you don't show up, we have to have a discussion. And even that discussion is going to be respectful and appreciative, but you're supposed to be there at 5. Why did you arrive at 6 or 7? We can't have that. And then we talk about things that could happen when you're late or when you don't arrive.
Yeah. Yeah.
But by and large, we appreciate our people and reward our people. Anytime one of our caregivers gets a compliment from a client, they get extra points for that. And we have a system in our software where we can tell everybody. So I'm all about telling people what they did right so they give you more of what you're complimenting them on. So
Yeah,
when
that makes
somebody gets
sense.
a compliment, we send it out to every employee so that every employee A knows they got extra reward points, and B, they understand what that person did to get complimented so that they can work toward getting that same compliment.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what type of training do you have in place for your team members? I know we talked a little bit about the hiring process, but I'm curious what
Right.
the training's like.
Okay, so we hire people who have been trained. We don't have a CNA school, but there's CNA schools in town that you can get certified anywhere from 9 months to 2 years as a CNA. The Arizona Certified Caregiver could be anywhere from 8 weeks to 8 months, depending on how fast you want to go through. So they go through training before we hire them, they get trained. But then there's what they call continuing education classes. They have to do a certain amount of COEs every year. So, and we have a way for them to do that in our software. You can go in, watch a couple videos, and satisfy your COE for that year. And then
Awesome. Yeah.
our system lets us know that they've done that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I think if you're ready, I think we'll transition to a couple rapid fire questions.
All right, let me put on my gym shoes and tie them up. Fire away, David.
What is the key to success for you?
Never giving up. You don't lose until you quit. As long as you're trying, you haven't lost. You're trying. You're putting in an effort. You never give up.
Yeah, I love that. I'm writing that one down personally for myself.
Right on. Right on.
What is your one piece of advice for other business owners?
Care about your business, be involved in your business. Some business owners will set up a business and then become what they call absentee owners. I think the best businesses are businesses with the owners involved.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. My dad, he owns a business and he always said the same thing. It's just always be involved with every aspect of your business because it'll always thrive more.
That's right. That's right.
What is a book or podcast you're reading or listening to right now?
I listen to podcasts on home care all the time on my way to work or as I'm going from client to client. A, it keeps you motivated. B, it gives you new ideas. Um, I've got two books here and I'm trying to decide which one I'm going to dive into. One is called Home Care Marketing 2.0. And then a good friend of mine, Jason Monska, who does a lot of networking, had an event just last night. And the book that they were passing out there is called What You Need to Know About AI. AI
Mm.
is definitely becoming a part of the business community. I haven't stepped into it yet, but I want to know what it brings, how you control it, what you can do with it, what the advantages of it are. See, because for me, I'm in a very personal business. We get involved in our clients' personal space. You know, when they're bathing, we have to be there to protect them so that they don't fall. You know, when they're dressing, we have to be there to protect them so that they don't get hurt. Some of our clients, when they're eating, we have to make sure to slow them down so that they don't aspirate. So we're in a very personal business, and AI is finding its way into our business, and I'm really curious about that.
Yeah, no, I think AI tools are the future in a lot of ways, and being able to understand AI tools on how you can apply them to your business, I think, is super important.
I agree
Um,
100%.
like even just helping track leads or helping with even marketing or just making even some of your employees' lives a little bit easier.
You know, it's interesting because we do a lot of co-marketing with people, and when I when I call somebody and AI answers their phone and AI is going to direct you, it's always concerning to me, but I'm opening my mind because I know it's sort of the road to the future. So,
Yeah.
I'm curious. I'm not there yet, but I'm curious.
Yeah. Well, this is kind of a fun question that I always like to ask towards the end. If you had a little bit of magic dust and you could choose one spot in your business to sprinkle it, where would it be and why?
Um, Client retention, and I'll tell you why. This is completely different than what people mean by client retention. But we help seniors, and in this business, unfortunately, people pass. And if we were able to retain our clients longer, that means that that client has lived longer. So that's
Yeah.
why I say client retention, because that would help my clients enjoy their time on earth a little bit more.
Yeah. No, I love that. Well, before we get to the final question of the day, would you want to share with the audience how they can follow you, learn more, contact you guys?
Sure, our website is at Golden Heart, one heart, goldenheartscottsdale.com is where they can find us on the web. You can find us on LinkedIn at Golden Heart Scottsdale. You can find us on Facebook at Golden Heart Scottsdale. So we're on Twitter. My SEO company handles the Twitter. I send them the information. They post it because I don't know that much about the Twitterverse, I think they call it. But yeah, that's you can find us pretty much on every social media under Golden Heart Scottsdale.
Awesome. Well, we've come to the final question of the day, and that is what is most inspiring to you today?
You know, most inspiring to me today is just really that hopefully somebody sees this video and the concept of not quitting registers to them, because being self-employed is a hard road to travel, and it takes tenacity, it takes effort. um, and I'll go back again and say it takes tenacity, because frequently you'll feel like it's gone or it's beyond you and you'll want to give up. You have to stay in the seat and put your seatbelt on a little tighter and stay in the ride, because you'll find a way. If you keep looking, keep trying, you'll find a way to get over whatever the hurdle is that you're trying to get over.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that answer. Well, this was a great conversation. I really enjoyed getting to hear your story. So thank you so much for sharing. I just encourage all of you watching to save this show and come back and watch it again because Rodney really had some great insights for business. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so that way you get notifications every time a new episode drops, just like this one. Thanks to everyone who joined us today, and a special thanks to you, Rodney, for being with us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, David. This was a lot of fun. Thank you very much.
Yeah, this was a blast. I will see all of y'all in the next episode.